Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 40, noes 81.
The resolution is lost. Mr. Tedesco.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I offer up the following resolution, waive its reading, move its immediate adoption, and request the opportunity to explain it.
The clerk will read.
Resolution number 843, Mr. Kolb, Assembly Resolution amending Section 7 of Rule 4 of the Assembly Rules in relation to committees.
Mr. Tedesco on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleagues, I like to call this rules change the spirit of 76 rules change. It's really a rules change where the rubber hits the road for the majority and the majority members in this House. It's really a rules change that gives you the opportunity, if you make the right vote, to go back to your constituents in this year when we run for re-election and tell them you did the job they elected you to do. Be a representative on their behalf. Be able to get important and significant legislation to the floor of the New York State Assembly for a discussion, a debate, and a vote for their best interests and for their quality of life. One thing it's really not is a Republican rules change or even an entire body rules change. It's really a rules change to empower you, the Democratic majority. Basically, what the rules change says is that if a majority in this House, 76 members of this body, representing over half the governing body in this House, representing over half the population of New York State, sponsors a piece of legislation, it would have to come to the floor, not for passage, not have to pass, but for discussion, debate, and a vote. Why do I say that empowers you more so than it actually empowers the entire House? Well, I define, and most people would define, a representative democracy in a majority as a majority of members, whether they're Republican members, Democratic members, people who say they're of an independent party, any affiliation, as long as they're a part of this 150-member body. Your Speaker, Mr. Hastie, defines it as 76 Democratic members as a part of the 100 and some majority members that you have. You know what the problem of that is? You can't pass a bill or get it to the floor with 76 members in your own majority. You can have 80 members and you can't get it to the floor. In fact, I have several bills where 80 of your members are on it that never come to the floor. You don't have the power to bring a bill to the floor if there's 104 every one of your members, because the Speaker has the power to stop it from coming to the floor. So this actually doesn't just empower the entire body and really make this a representative government. It empowers you, your majority, to get bills to the floor. Now, I guess I'd ask Mr. Hastie, the Speaker, and you, if I brought forth a rules change that said if 76 Democrats sponsor a bill, it has to come to the floor for a vote. Would you support it then? Because that's the real definition of your Speaker. He says it's 76 members of your Democratic majority. I don't think that's what a real majority is. I don't think that's what the public sends us here to see as the real majority. Now, having said that, let me preface my remarks, Mr. Speaker, by saying I'm not putting this rules change forth, or our conference isn't putting forth to denigrate any of you, or to denigrate the majority, or Mr. Hastie as the Speaker, or the majority leader of the Senate. I like Mr. Hastie. I like Mr. Flanagan. In fact, when we played basketball at the police academy, they were always willing to pass me the ball. And Mr. Aubrey, I know you could say that they can't commend me for doing that back for them. But the point is, it's not only about this Speaker or the way this majority rules and controls the rules now, it's the way it was controlled in the past, the power of the leadership in the past, the power of the leadership now, and what will be sustained if you don't make significant changes, which you promised. Now, I heard Mr. Morelli, And what I heard about those reforms you made was blah, 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 blah. Zero. You should be embarrassed to say that. And again, I say that not to denigrate you, but really he said we're going to consider things. Well, you've been considering them for a long time. The federal prosecutor has said that the largest asset the Speaker had in the previous majority leader of the Senate to game the system and fail in their oath of office and involve themselves in corruption was unbridled power. And he's also talked about the fact, as many of you, as we have, has pointed at those leaders and say, those are the bad guys. Those are the guys who corrupted the system. Those are the guys who had the power to do it. My colleagues, it wasn't the most important part of this representative democracy that gave them the power. You gave them the power. Majorities in the past, you, the majority, now have sustained it. And if you vote against reasonable reforms like this and rules changes to really make this a democratic system here, you're not supporting real change in this House. You're continuing to sustain it. You have provided the Speaker with this power, and you haven't changed a thing with the President, Speaker. And in all deference, the Republicans haven't done it in the Senate either. You're going to continue the status quo. Now, the fact of the matter is, in 1776, we had a revolution. It was a violent revolution, but something good came out of it. The greatest nation in the world, the United States of America, the foundation of this nation, freedom and liberty, created a representative democracy, a republic. My colleagues, under the rules right now, we're less of a representative democracy and more of a dictatorship and, I'd say, a kingship. One individual should not have the ability to hold up every single piece of legislation. There's a young lady that's going to be coming to the Capitol in a couple weeks to support a piece of legislation, which we have over 30 sponsors right now, which does the same thing that you could provide us with this rule change. Her name is Janet Grishaber. You may remember her daughter, Jenna Grishaber. She was a nurse in Troy. She was killed by a first-time violent felon who was let out on parole. Janet came here. She talked to all of us as legislators. Got 130 sponsors on a piece of legislation. 130 members in this body. Certainly enough to pass it, but not enough to bring it to the floor. You see, there's a difference to suggest that you have power because you're in the majority. I could ask all the members over there, of all the bills you've put together, how many have you got to the floor? And I certainly would say it's probably 2 or 3 or 4% at the most, except for a few of you. The fact of the matter is, the Speaker would not allow that bill to the floor. She sat up in the balcony. He promised her he was going to bring on the last day her bill out to keep violent felons without parole for first-time violent felonies. He had his staff call her up on the phone, the Speaker that's going to be incarcerated shortly, and say, we're not going to bring that bill out. We're closing down session. Go home. She asked the same question then that many of your constituents are asking now. How can one person, regardless of who he or she is in any body in a representative democracy, hold up a piece of legislation from coming to the floor with 130 sponsors? The answer then is the same answer now, because you as a majority empowered that leader to do that. You have an obligation to take that power back. Preet says you should take that power back. He says if you see it, you should say something about it. You know what? We can't see it, because when the 3 men in the room make those deals to have these pockets of money, I think you really want reform. I think you really want changes, just like we do. I think you want to know where that slush fund was that Speaker Silver used to aggrandize himself by giving grants to an individual so they could send clients back to him. You're not going to find that in the next budget coming up unless you demand the governor present us with a budget like that. Unless you demand the governor and we pass a budget that says if Speaker Hasty decides and negotiates and makes us a deal to have a pocket, $5 million, $10 million, we know where that money is. And when he allocates it out, We know, the public knows, the media knows where he allocates it to. If not, we just have the quid pro quo going on. We have the status quo going on. If you don't want to have the power with 76 of your members, forget about us. Maybe you don't want us involved. I think 76 should be either Republicans or Democrats. But if you don't want the power to go back to tell your constituents, with 76 of my Democratic colleagues, with 80 of them, with 130, I could pass it if it got to the floor. But the speaker's so powerful I can't get it to the floor. That's not acceptable in a representative democracy. Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, I would ask you to take back this government as representative for the people you represent and pass the spirit of 76. There was a revolution. Let's have a revolution here on behalf of the people we represent. Mr. Speaker, I move this rules change.
The clerk will record the vote.
Nice job. I'll move the vote yes for that.
Want to get a 9?
You got a 10.
You can take your hair flying around. Really? That looked like a wig then. It was good. You're like this. Your hair is like flying around. Like Donald Trump? It was good. No better than Trump. What's the bill that had a heart attack? Jenna's law. First time violent felons wouldn't get parole. She's coming in 2 weeks. She'll be at the press conference, right? She's going to tell the whole story. Yeah, they have to serve all their time. First time, yeah. No parole. First time we passed it eventually. Yeah, it's law. But we had to leave. And we had to go crazy. It was election year, so everybody had to come back and back.
Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 41, noes 81.
The resolution is lost. Mr. Graff.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I offer the following resolution, waive its reading, move its immediate adoption, and request the opportunity to briefly explain it.
Clerk will read.
Resolution 844, Mr. Kolb, Assembly Resolution amending Rule 4 of the Assembly Rules in relation to the term of a committee chairperson.
Mr. Graff on the resolution.
Yes. Assembly committees are tasked with an important role of vetting all legislation prior to it reaching the floor for a vote by the entire membership. The legislature and the residents of New York would be better served by a more open exchange of ideas and solutions in Assembly committees. The purpose of this amendment is to limit the time a member may serve as a committee chairperson for a particular committee to 8 years. Changing committee chairs periodically would help to inspire fresh perspectives from committees and allow more members the opportunity to serve in an important committee chairperson role. Understand, Mr. Speaker, we have one chairperson that I know of that has served as a chairman of his committee for 29 years. We're talking 1987. Some of our members, can we have some quiet, please?
Certainly, Mr. Graff. Members, please help us.
There's a couple of our members that were not even born when this person first became a chairperson. Some of our members were in kindergarten. Assemblyman Garbarino just finished being potty trained. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I would ask that that we move this amendment at this time.
The clerk will record the vote.
Are there any other votes? Ooh. Announce the results.
Ayes 43, noes 81.
The resolution is lost. Johns? Mr. Johns.
I would like to offer the following resolution, waive its reading and move its immediate adoption, and request an opportunity to briefly explain the resolution.
Clerk will read.
Resolution number 845, Mr. Kolb. Assembly Resolution amending Section 2 of Rule 5 of the Assembly Rules in relation to ensuring that each member is entitled to have at least one substantive piece of legislation discharged from committee and brought to a vote during each two-year term.
Mr. John on the resolution.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Now, I've been a member of this body for 5 years now, and looking around the chamber, I see a lot of very smart and intelligent people. And by the way, if anybody is not a smart or intelligent member of this assembly, please raise their hand right now. Okay. So we've established that we have a lot of credible people in this chamber here. In the New York State Assembly, 10% of the legislation that we author comes up for a vote. 90% of the legislation never comes out of the committee, and even if it does come out of the committee, it never comes to the floor for an up or down vote. What I'm talking about is legislative equality. Now, we talk a lot around here about marriage equality, gender equality, pay equality. How about we start with the real issue of legislative equality? Let's let every member bring a signature piece of legislation once every 2 years. You can't ask for the less. You know, Mr. Speaker, a couple years ago, this chamber passed the Women's Equality Agenda, and members of the majority party pointed their fingers down the hall to the Senate and said, why doesn't the Senate bring that bill up? Now, would that bill have passed the Senate? We don't know. It would have been a close vote either way, right? But if we in the State Assembly don't believe in legislative equality, don't believe that a member should have one opportunity every 2 years to bring a bill forward for a debate, a discussion, or an up or down vote, it's very hard for us to tell the chamber down the hall that they ought to be doing the same. Two-thirds of the votes, two-thirds of the bills that we pass in the Assembly never come up for a vote in the Senate. And it takes two parts of the legislature to actually pass a bill and have the governor sign it into law. So what I'm asking for is an opportunity for everybody to bring one piece of legislation, if they so choose, once every 2 years, and let's have a debate and a discussion and an up or down vote on the issues that mean something to the people back home. We talk a lot about this House as being the House of the people, the House closest to the people.
I'm sorry, Mr. John. Members, very disrespectful. Please consider.
Well, I know they're getting ready to save their applause for the end, but, you know, we let the voters vote on gambling casinos. 52% say yes. Term limits, which would get 80 or 90%, never comes up for a vote. So my idea, and I think an idea of the general population in this state, is let's start bringing bills up for a vote. Let's have a debate and discussion about things that people care about. And then I think that we can actually start returning this body to the legislative greatness it used to have in the old days. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The clerk will record the vote.
Thank you.
Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 44, noes 80.
The resolution is lost. Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I offer the following resolution, waive its reading, move its immediate adoption, and request the opportunity to briefly explain it.
The clerk will read.
Resolution number 846, Mr. Kolb, Assembly Resolution amending Section 6 of Rule 3 of the Assembly Rules in relation to amendment of bills.
Mr. Lopez on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We live in an ever-evolving digital and social media age, and our constituents expect their elected officials to keep them informed about how they voted on a particular bill or resolution in real time. This amendment would simply require that the roll call on each amendment to a bill or resolution offered and considered by the House would be made available in electronic format on LRS within 24 hours of the vote. Currently, paper copies of the roll call can be requested. However, living in an electronic age, the public expects information to be available on the internet. And in the interest of transparency in our legislative activities, we request this change. Just additionally, Mr. Speaker, the series of reforms that we're requesting here are common sense. They're straightforward. There's really no reason why these should be turned down vote after vote. And I'm urging my colleagues to support me with this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The clerk will record the vote.